Alright guys, I figured I'd just take this time to do a video about some questions that I always get about concealed carry. And I figure this will cover a lot of the questions and maybe help some people that are thinking about concealed carry. You know, maybe they're just turning 21, or maybe the law just came into their state where they can carry a concealed handgun. Okay, one of the top questions I get is, should I carry? Well, that's pretty much a question that only you can answer. My suggestion would be that the two most important things about that is you need to be familiar with handguns and firearms, and you need to be familiar with the gun that you're going to carry. Okay, if you just buy a firearm, you turn 21 and get your permit all in the same day, I don't really know if you should carry at that point. In fact, I don't think you should, and I'll tell you why. You want to go to the range and at least practice with that gun, because if you ever have to pull it in a stressful situation, you could miss really bad. A lot of things could happen. You could injure an innocent person that's nearby. So you definitely want to be familiar with handguns, or at least the gun that you will be carrying. Get familiar with it, train with it, go to the range, learn how it works, dry fire at home, just learn how to clean it right, just do everything like that. And then once you do that, decide if carrying is for you or not. Okay, this is kind of a comment I get, and people tell me that when they carry, these are people it's pretty much new to carry. They say wherever they go, they feel like they stick out like a sore thumb, that everybody's looking at them. Well, that's normal. That even happened with me back years ago when I started carrying. When you go out in places and in public, you kind of are real self-conscious about your gun, and you feel like everybody can see you, and you feel like everybody's looking at you. But that's never the case. Okay, you get used to it. Right now, for me, having a gun or guns on me out in public bothers me about as much as if I had an ink pen in my pocket. Okay, I'm just being honest. That's literally how it feels to me. I would worry as much if I had an ink pen in my pocket as I do about me having a gun on me. It's a non-issue. Okay. Another one. Okay, like in my state, I can carry in banks. Somebody had asked me the question, what if 3 bank robbers came in, and we'll just say, for sake of argument, they had shotguns, and they run up to the teller, basically tell everybody to get on the floor, run up to the teller, and they say, put all the money in a bag, and they're just trying to get the money, and they want to rob the place. Well, in that case, it's 3-1, and they got shotguns, and you have your handgun. My advice is that you do nothing. Okay, I would not pull my gun to protect someone's money, especially a bank. They charge enough fees to cover their insurance costs and whatever else, and they're fully insured, and they can get that money back. Okay, what would happen is if 3 guys came in with shotguns into a bank and you pulled your gun, you might get half a dozen innocent people killed in the bank that normally would not have been killed, because basically the robbers are just trying to get their money and they want to take off and get out of there. Okay, now that scenario flips if one of them starts picking off people or shoots somebody. If one of them goes up and shoots somebody behind the counter and then tells the other person to give me the money, well, in that case, you're going to have to do what you have to do. Or if one of them starts picking off people that's laying on the floor, that got down on the ground, at that point, you're going to have to try to do what you can do and maybe salvage the situation. But if they're just coming in and shove the money in a bag and go, then that's what they do, man. You just stay on the floor, try to get a good description, the best that you can, and that's as far as you want to go. You don't want to pull a little pistol out when they got shotguns and get everybody in the bank shot up when they might not have been shot. Okay. That's just my opinion on the thing. Let's see what else. Okay. People ask me, well, what do you do? You're carrying a gun, and somebody comes into a crowded building or a building with a lot of people with the intent to kill, and he just comes in shooting. Okay, so he's not coming in to rob and leave. He's coming in to kill as many people as he can. That's a scenario. And he's picking people off one by one. Well, that situation is complicated, but human nature is, when somebody comes in with a gun and starts shooting, what's the first thing people want to do? Boom, they hit the ground most times. They either run or they just go to the floor. Because your human instinct will tell you, get as far out of the area as you can so that you don't get hit by a bullet. Okay, so basically what I see in that scenario is you would have a percentage of the people running, okay, any which way they can, and you'd have a percentage of people that would just drop straight to the ground. Well, that leaves a clear shot now, because you got the shooter who's always going to stay standing, and then you've got me with a gun, or you with a gun. Okay, and in that situation where the guy's killing everybody, you have to try to do what you can. Okay, at this point, it doesn't matter. You're not going to anger him anymore, and you're not going to cause any more damage by popping a shot at him, because he's already trying to shoot everyone there is in the place. So at that point, I would try to pick the best time, and the best way to get him. I would try not to wait till he's reloading, because you could save a lot more people, okay, other than waiting for him to empty a mag and reload. I would try as fast as possible to take the guy down, and I would stay standing, but I would probably crouch down a little bit, and as soon as he sees that, he's going to turn fire toward me. So I'm going to have to be willing to take fire upon myself to take this guy out, okay? And then, like I said, basically a lot of people's going to be running, and a lot of people's going to hit the ground. So that could leave an open shot, because the shooter's always going to be standing. So, okay, what else? Okay, another question I get a lot. How safe is a gun when I carry it? Okay, now, we're going to talk in terms of carrying it in a holster like it's meant to be carried. And in those terms, it's 100% safe. Okay, number one, the gun's down in the holster. As long as this trigger guard's covered, the gun cannot go off. The trigger cannot be pulled as long as this trigger's covered. Number two, when you carry, the muzzle of the gun is facing the floor, and when you sit down in a seat, it's still facing the floor. So the gun's always pointing in a safe direction. Not with shoulder carry, that's a different video. But in the waistband holster, the muzzle of the gun's always facing the floor, whether sitting, standing, driving in a car, unless you were to lay down in some goofy situation or something like that, which I'm not even going to get into. But in a normal scenario, your muzzle's facing the floor, the trigger guard's covered. This is what I'll say. You have as much of a chance as going into a parking lot, okay, and a car with no one in it starts up and jumps in gear and runs you over with no driver and does it all on its own. There's a better chance of that happening than to have this gun go off while it's in this holster and on your side. Okay? The gun's 100% safe. Okay, another question I get a lot. What if I'm in a car and somebody gets mad at me? Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I pulled out in front of them. Maybe I didn't see them right away and I pulled out in front of them. And they come up behind me and they're beeping the horn and they're chasing me. Okay, and you carry a gun. Okay, number one, you are going to try to call the cops because you have time because you're in a car, he's in a car behind you. You're going to try to call the cops from your cell phone, tell them where you're at, keep driving, and try to get the plate number, any description you can for the cops. Okay, number two, try to drive to a police station if you can. Pulling into a police station parking lot is not going to save you necessarily, but pulling into a police station parking lot is enough to scare somebody away most times. Okay, if you can do that. Okay, number three, you ain't got no cell phone, there's no police station nearby, somebody's chasing you, you have a gun, you don't know what's going to happen, and what I would do is basically just drive to where I'm going, pull in like I normally would. If you cannot get away from the guy, if you just can't, if he's on your tail, you can't outrun him, and you can't get away from him using all normal means, don't go doing 100 miles an hour or anything, just normal means. But if you can't outrun the guy and get away from him, and he follows you to where you're going and you stop, he gets out of his car, whether he has a weapon or not, I would sit in my car with the windows rolled up. Now, I'm not talking about me specifically. I'm speaking to the general public out there. I'm talking to females, men, as well as younger females and men as well. I would sit in the car with the windows rolled up, the doors locked, okay? Basically, at that point, you're inside of a car. The guy gets out. He can yell, scream, do what he wants. Just sit there. You could probably most times outweigh him. But here's the thing. Once this guy comes up, if he comes up with a weapon, now we're talking a different scenario. If he comes up with a weapon, that is a case for feeling that you're in danger for serious bodily injury or serious bodily harm. And the times you can pull your gun or use your gun is in cases of you're in fear of serious bodily injury or harm or death. Okay? Now, if this guy has no weapon and he starts pounding on your window and he's trying to break your window, once my window breaks, to me that's a serious threat of bodily injury. Okay? If somebody came up to my car that was chasing me, now keep in mind, you don't ever want to start a situation on the roadway with someone. Because if you ever start anything with someone, you flip them off, you cuss them out, and they chase you, and you have to pull your gun, you're going to have a rough day in court. You want to be the innocent one. I'm talking about a case where somebody's chasing you because you made an accident. You may have pulled out in front of them because you didn't, for whatever reason, your view was obstructed or something. Okay? Now, if the guy comes up and he breaks my window with his fist or something else or a small piece of metal, at that time, for me, my gun's coming out of the holster. I'm not saying I'm going to pop the guy right then and there, but my gun is going to come out of my holster because that's a very unstable person. Okay, and there is some serious fear of bodily injury or harm or death from that. Okay, so that's my advice on that type of scenario. But before all that comes into play, you want to try to get away or get to a police station or call the police and try to avert pulling the gun. Pulling the gun is going to be the final solution. It's not the first solution. It's the final solution to any event that you might encounter. Okay, another good question I get a lot is, what do I do when I'm pulled over by a policeman and I'm carrying, and of course I'm legal, I got my permit, and I'm carrying legally in my state, and I get pulled over by a policeman. What should I do to make sure that situation is the best it can be? Okay, let me tell you from the way a law enforcement officer looks at this situation, and I'll explain it that way, and maybe it'll be a little bit easier for you. He's already, let's say it's at night, he's already coming up with a little bit of worry in his mind of what can go down in this situation, okay? And now the first thing you want to do is right as soon as he gets to the car window, as he starts to speak, I don't care if you cut him off, I don't care. The first words out of your mouth are, I have a permit, or I have a carry concealed permit to carry. Okay? You do not say, I've got a gun. That's what you don't do. You don't want to say that to a police officer. Okay, let me back up a little bit. When the police officers come, he gets out of his car and he's coming up. You have your hands on the wheel at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Now, before you, up in the air, so you can see them wrapped around the steering wheel. Now, before you do this, if you want to go the extra mile, turn on your inside dome light. As he gets out, right as he pulls you over, before he gets out, or right as he gets out, turn your dome light on, and then put your hands up on the wheel. I'll tell you why. It lets a police officer see clearly into your vehicle all the way from behind the car, so he's already coming up with a little less insecurity because he's looking directly into the car under light. Okay? He can see what's going on in there. It makes him less nervous and it makes you safer. Okay, so if you want to, you don't have to do this. This is not a requirement. Click the dome light on. Now, the next thing is pretty much a requirement. Put your hands on 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock on the wheel. Hold the wheel. As soon as he gets up there, I have a permit to carry a firearm, and I do have a firearm on me. What do you want me to do? That's exactly what you say. 9 times out of 10, the police officer's just going to say, okay, let me see your permit and let me see your driver's license, your permit. He'll take a look at both and let you know why he stopped you. It's not good to, when he gets up there, you don't want to say, I got a gun. You don't want to say, I got a gun and I have a permit to carry. You always want to say, I have a permit first. You don't want, late at night, in a bad city, police officers are always on guard. You don't want to say, I've got a gun, because as soon as that comes out of your mouth, red flags and red lights are going to be going off in his mind. You want to say, I have a permit to carry a firearm, and I have a firearm on me. Keep holding the wheel, then he'll tell you what to do. And that's all you do. It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. You'll have no problems when you get stopped. And it should go as smooth as any other time that you get stopped. Okay, guys, another very strong piece of advice from me is keep your mouth shut when you conceal carry. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. You don't conceal carry to brag. Okay, maybe when you're 21 or something, yeah, you think it's cool, you think it's neat that you carry, but I'm going to tell you what, you're going to save yourself a lot of grief if you don't run your mouth. Okay, what I mean is, don't go to everybody's house and show them, pull up your shirt, tell them, hey, I'm carrying my gun. I know of a situation where there was this couple, a man and a wife, and the guy got his permit and he carried his gun, okay? And they were really good friends with another couple, another man and wife. Well, of course, the guy had to open his mouth and, he'd be around the other couple, and the other couple didn't have guns, they didn't carry guns. And he, showed that he carried, they knew that he carried, because he wanted to run his mouth and show off, brag about it, and this is an older guy, it wasn't a kid. So these two couples are going to go on to a trip, and they're going to basically plan it out that they're going to ride in the same car. Well, the couple that doesn't carry the gun, they were going to drive, and the couple where the man carries the gun, they were going to ride with them. Well, all of a sudden they get a phone call from the wife of the guy that doesn't carry, and she calls the other wife and she says, yeah, if you guys are going to ride with us on this vacation, tell your husband he can't bring his gun. Okay, now if this guy would have never opened his trap, he could have just went and carried, and no one would have knew. No one would have told him no. Now he really can't carry because they told him they don't want him to. He could try to sneak it, but now they know and they said no. If he had just carried and not told anyone, he could have rode with them, carried his gun. They could have, he could have felt, been safe, had protection, and no one would have even known to say anything. You know, and he could always say, I never thought you would have not wanted me to carry a gun. And no one would have knew because it was concealed. So don't go around telling everybody you know and making it a point to show everyone that you carry a gun. Because a lot of times, the people that don't like firearms or are scared of firearms or aren't used to them, they're not going to like it. That you're going to get phone calls saying, yeah, such and such said if you come over to the house to visit, you can't bring your gun. That's what you're going to start hearing from a few people. Maybe not everybody, but from a few people. Now, of course, this is YouTube. All you guys know me. All you guys know I carry. And I can only hide so much. Most of my family and people that know me close, they know I've been into guns ever since I was a little kid. They know what I do. Let's just say that. They know what I do. I don't have to worry about that. But I don't go running my mouth. Okay? If I'm with friends and we go somewhere and the people know me but not real well, or I'm not close to the people, I don't tell everybody. Let's put it that way. I don't tell everybody when I carry concealed. The couple close friends of mine know, that are real close friends. They know that I carry, but the majority of the people that know me, I don't even mention it. They probably already figure that I am, but you don't need to go running your mouth, okay? Carry your gun concealed like it's supposed to be. Don't run your mouth. Keep it concealed, and it's going to work out a lot better for you and not get you into any situations where you're going to have to compromise what you do. Okay? I hope you guys understand that point that I'm trying to make there. Okay, guys, that's about all I can think of right now. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more questions in the comments, and if you do have any questions, feel free to post them. Maybe I'll even make another video if I get enough. That's just a small amount that I wanted to cover, that I get questions on frequently, and just give you a little bit of insight, okay? A lot of new guys coming to my channel that are younger, that are just turning 21, a lot of guys that just got their permit to carry. I'm trying to help you out the best way I can, okay? To make your life easier and to make things go smoother for you. So I hope this video helped, and like I said, feel free to send me a message privately with any questions or post in the comments, and if I get enough good questions, legit questions, I will make a list and I will do another video if that's what you guys want. Okay guys, that's it for now. This is Humans for Targets, and I'm out.